Today, you are about to see a few segments we taped in Houston back in January before we were sheltering at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. Recently, the United States Supreme Court declined to hear Rodney Reed's case. However, his death sentence is still on hold while various claims are being considered by the Texas trial court. If the Texas courts uphold Rodney's conviction, he could appeal the decision to the Supreme Court. I had a chance to sit down with Rodney's attorney, Quincy McNeal, to learn more about Rodney's legal situation. When they came to me about this case, the Innocence Project, they said, look, this thing is stuck. Will you help us? So I made a lot of noise about it, and it's been sent back to the trial court.
Right. And let me just be clear, Dr. Phil. So the murder conviction, it is what it is, and it stands. What they have done is the courts have said, you've made a case, Mr. Reed, that information was withheld from you. You've made a case that there has been false testimony. Now we need you to make it in trial. So he is still an individual guilty and on death row, but they're giving us an opportunity to go to a hearing and to the trial to prove his innocence and to prove these constitutional violations.
What are the court's options at this point?
The judge can recommend to the Court of Criminal Appeals, our high court here in Texas, that relief should be granted, and relief would likely be in the form of a new trial. Or he can recommend that relief not be granted. That decision then goes to the high court. Whether for or against us, it goes to the high court, and the high court makes the final determination.
What would you say to those people that are skeptical?
Well, Dr. Phil, I would sort of put the evidence that I have uncovered in really three buckets. The first bucket really is relationship evidence, right? This was critical at trial, because at trial the impression was left with the jury that Rodney and Stacy were strangers. So many of the people who've come forward are individuals who saw them together, folks who have made clear that this idea that they were strangers is pure fiction.
And we're not talking about one person here.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about 4 or 5 people, 4, 5, 6 people. People who've come out more recently and people who came out in 2014. The other bucket is the bucket that inculpates Jimmy Finnell. And in my mind, makes it more likely than not that Jimmy Finnell is the one who committed this crime. One gentleman worked for the Lee County Sheriff's Department. He's come forward saying that Jimmy said something when they were both at Stacy's funeral that you just can't imagine a grieving individual to say, you know, you got what you deserve. Another law enforcement officer came forward, a guy named Wayne Fletcher, and he tells us that about 3 or 4 weeks prior to Stacy's death, Jimmy Finnell exclaimed to him in a private conversation that Jimmy was aware that Stacy was dating a black man. There you have motivating evidence. He's upset, a racial slur was used, a curse word was used, saying she is messing around with a black man. Right. Both of these guys are law enforcement officers. They've got no reason to lie. Right. The other bucket, Dr. Phil, would be the medical science bucket. It's just my opinion that the medical science leaves little to no doubt that Mr. Reed could not have done this, because it makes clear that Stacy died at a different time.
The science supports 100% that she died before midnight.
I think that's exactly right.
The fact that they did have a relationship where they could have been together before,
right.
The fact that the time of death was not what the prosecution says it was, the fact that he had an alibi for the time that the prosecution says the death occurred, right. All of those things, when you add it all up, I don't think he's just not guilty, I think he's innocent. Mm. But you certainly get to the standard of being beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
I also had a chance to sit down with Rodney's mother, Sandra, and his brother, Roderick, to get their thoughts on Rodney's case. Here's what they had to say. Are you of the opinion that this will be retried?
I would like to be retried.
You would like to see
to get all the evidence out. I want the public to know
the truth.
The truth that he is innocent. But if they let him go, that's fine, or I'll get to hold my baby.
So if you had your choice, you would rather there be a retrial than them to just drop the charges? Because I disagree with you.
You do?
Let me tell you why. He's been through the justice system.
Yeah.
Did he get justice?
No, he did not.
To go back again, is he going to get justice a second time? I don't know. But I know if they let him go, he's free. Well, hey there, thanks so much for watching. And while I have you, do you have a story or a question for me? If so, I do want to hear from you. Click on the link in the description and tell me what's going on. You just might end up right here with me on the show. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Click that little red button below. You know you want to. What are you waiting for? Do it!